Hanuman sir, please continue, sir.
Very good evening, all of you. Am I audible to everyone? Yes, audible. So in the last session, we discussed, yes, CSS, types of CSS, selectors, and kinds of selectors. So we discussed what is a CSS. CSS is for applying the beautification to the web page. And we also discussed various kinds of selectors. A selector is used for selecting an item. Yes, I didn't share my screen till now. I will share the screen now. Okay. I think it's visible to you now. Screen is not visible. Is my screen visible to you? Yes. Thank you. Thank you for responding. So we discussed introduction to CSS and also discussed various kinds of CSS available. Those are inline CSS, internal CSS, and external CSS. Inline CSS is nothing but we have to use an attribute, that is style, for applying styles to a specific element. Internal CSS is nothing but we can access the styles in entire document. We have to declare the styles in head part or head section of the page. Similarly, external styles or external CSS is nothing but we have to create additional file with the extension of CSS, and we have to declare few kinds of styles in it, and we have to use them in number of pages, not only a single page. We can apply those styles in multiple pages. So these are the importance of each and every kind of CSS here. So we discussed inline CSS, internal CSS, and external CSS. Similarly, we discussed various kinds of selectors. Selector is nothing but when we are going to apply styles to a specific element, we have to select the element first. For selecting that, we have various kinds of selectors. The first one is basic selectors. And the next one is relational selectors. And the final one is pseudo selectors. In basic selectors, again we have few kinds. Those are ID, class, element, and universal. Alright. Similarly, we have few kinds of relational selectors. Those are descendant selectors, child combiner, adjacent sibling selector, general sibling selector, and final one is attribute selector. So for declaring an identifier or ID, we have to use hash symbol. For declaring a class selector, we have to use dot. For element selectors, we have to use the element name. We already discussed about element name. So we have various kinds of elements available. So based on that, we have to select. That is element name. So the element names such as paragraph tag, span element, heading tags, and all this stuff. And a universal selector, we have to represent an universal selector by using star. When we are going to apply styles by using universal selector, the styles applicable to each and every element of the document. Alright. Now descendant selector. This is one of the category in relational selector. By using this, we can apply styles to not only a specific children, but we can apply styles to the grandchildren also. Child combiner is nothing but we can apply styles to the children directly. Adjacent sibling selector, by using this, we can apply styles to immediately following element or immediate sibling of a selector. For example, we have various kinds of elements. We discussed section and paragraph yesterday. Let me open the coding part first.
సార్ హనుమాన్ సార్ ఎక్స్క్యూజ్ మీ
Yes.
ఆ మ్యాగ్నిఫైర్ యూస్ చేసి కొంచెం జూమ్ చేయండి
Okay.
యూట్యూబ్ యూజర్స్ కి
Sure.
లెటర్స్ అనేది కొంచెం కనిపించండి.
Sure.
థ్యాంక్ యూ.
Thank you for this suggestion. I hope yes. Narendra is also responded that please zoom, sir. Yes. I just zoom in the content. I think it's visible to you all now. Now I'm going to open my text editor, that is Visual Studio Code. You can use your favorite text editor. We have various kinds of text editors such as Sublime Text Editor, Atom, Visual Studio Code. Alright. Now if you observe this here, we have various kinds of elements starting with body. We know body is the parent element here, and we have a section element. Similarly, we have a paragraph element. So a section element and this paragraph element and anchor elements all are the children for this body. But this paragraph is the grandchildren because section is the parent for this paragraph, and section is the children for this body. So we can understand the relationship between this body and this nested paragraph. Body is a grandparent for this paragraph tag. When we are going to use descendant selector, we can apply styles to this paragraph also. Not only this children, we can apply to the grandchildren also. Alright, but when we are going to use child combiner, we have to apply the styles to the specific children. For example, section and this paragraph and this anchor tag are all of the children for this body tag. When we are going to use child combiner or child combinator, we have to apply styles to the children only. Similarly, whereas adjacent sibling selectors, when we are going to use section and paragraph, we already know these two are the siblings. Adjacent sibling selectors and general sibling selectors are used for applying styles to the sibling only, not the children, but we can apply styles to the sibling. We can consider a sibling is nothing but two elements or multiple elements must have the same parent. So adjacent sibling selector means immediately following. For example, the section and this paragraph are the siblings. When we are going to apply styles to section and paragraph, we have various kinds of paragraphs. Here also we are having a paragraph. This is another paragraph and this is another paragraph. But the immediate following element will be applicable when we are going to use adjacent sibling selector. Whereas general sibling selector, unlike adjacent sibling selector, we can apply styles to each and every sibling of it. And we also discussed attribute selector. By using attribute selectors, we can apply styles by using the elements attributes. We discussed various kinds of attributes yesterday. We used the link attribute, that is anchor tag, and we used the target attribute in this. Based on the target attribute, we can apply the styles. In the target attribute, we used few kinds of characters. For example, when we are going to use cap symbol, that indicates the starting position of the value. Similarly, dollar, this is the ending position of the value. And star indicates the includes. Alright, so we discussed these selectors yesterday. Now it's time to do the practical exposure on these selectors also, pseudo selectors. That is also very, very important. So I don't want to take much more time for this. I would like to quit this selectors topic very quickly. So we have anchor tags. I would like to remove the stuff. I would like to remove enter stuff in the body. So I have only one element, that is body. Now I'm going to use an anchor tag here. A href, that is head reference, equals to, I'm going to use the Google home URL. So that is something like google.com, right? So I'm going to use this URL. Alright, so I'm going to mention the text which is visible to the user, that is Google. Alright, now it's time to execute that program. So we have to select it. So this is my project. My project is available in the desktop environment. So I'm going to select the project, and here we have to run the index.html. So I would like to open this with Chrome. So I have Chrome already installed. So I would like to open this with the Chrome. Alright, now we are able to see the link here, Google. If you observe this, the by default link is, by default color for this is something like blue. Alright, so now it's time to apply styles by using pseudo elements or pseudo selectors. So here Akhilesh asked me a question. Sir, this is my profile, but I can't get the code to write personal data. In one line. Could you please say the code for the site? Yeah, I will look into this link and I will tell you later. Okay, so just remind me before ending of the session. I will help you out. No problem at all. So this is the document here. So now for this link, I'm going to apply the attribute pseudo elements or pseudo classes or pseudo selectors. So let me open the styles. So this is target. So we already discussed about this. Let me remove this. And the tag name is, the element name is A, anchor tag. So first of all, I'm going to use the link, and I'm going to use the default color for this color, that is red color. So remember, you need not to use any kind of color codes. You should not use any kind of color names. Instead of it, we have to use the color codes directly. So I don't know what are the different kinds of color codes. I remember very few. So that is the reason I'm going to use direct color names here. So you should not use this kind of color names directly. You have to use color codes instead of it. Now let me save this and execute in the browser once. Refresh. Yes. So now we're able to see this Google in the same color. Alright. So when I'm going to refresh this once, because the colors are not applicable to the directly. So let me use the target also for better understanding. So I'm going to use the target attribute for this. Target equals to underscore blank. Cool. Now we just used underscore blank here. So if you observe this, we applied styles to this, something like this is by default color for a link, but we used red color. So this is applicable when we are not visited the link properly. Alright, now if you visited the link, what happened? So for example, I'm going to use a dot visited. So here I'm going to use something like color that is yellow. Alright, so this is unvisited and this is visited. Visited means when we are going to click on this link. Let me refresh this. If you observe this, Google, we are able to see the Google in red color, in yellow color, because we already visited this link. Similarly, I am going to use another web URL, something like so APSSDC .in. So we have a website. So APSSDC.in. All right. The spelling is wrong here. Yes. Now it's fine. Cool. Now it's open. So I would like to use this link instead of the Google, because we already visited the Google. So that is the reason we are not able to see the proper manipulations in that. All right. Now it's time to apply the styles and the href. All right. Now we used a new link, that is APSSDC. I'm going to use APSSDC here also. APSSDC. All right. Now let me save this and execute in the browser. Now if you observe this, this is the same link. That is the reason we are also not having this. So I'm going to use another anchor tag, and href equals to something like, okay, I just used the blank statement, target equals to, so underscore a blank, and I would like to use something like, oh, click me. So here I'm going to use another URL. So because this is already visited, I'm going to use LinkedIn. So this is the URL, linkedin.com. So I would like to copy this, Control C, and I would like to use that here in the href attribute. So let me open this document and refresh this once. Again, we are able to see click me. So this is already visited. That is the reason we are able to see the yellow color. No problem at all. So if you observe this, we applied styles. That is something like, this is unvisited. When we are not visited the link, then we are able to see red. When we visited the link, we are able to see yellow. So I would like to open this URL in the incognito. Control C, and this is the incognito. Try to use this here. So if you observe this here, we not visited this link. So in this we already visited because we already opened the LinkedIn profile here. Yes, so that is the reason we are able to see the text in yellow color. Similarly, in the incognito, so we opened that in incognito. Incognito, we are able to observe that is in red color. So I would like to click on this. I would like to visit this link. So I successfully visited. That means we clicked on it and visited successfully. Now let me close this and refresh this once. Yes, we are using incognito. The history is not stored here. That is the reason we are not able to observe. No problem. I hope you might be understand. When we are not visited the link, then we are able to see red color text. When we are visited that link, we are able to see the text in yellow color. So in incognito, we are not able to find any kind of history. That is the reason we are not able to observe the color codes there. Alright, so this is visited and non-visited. By using this link attribute, so here we used a link attribute that is in red color. It is applicable when we are not visited the link properly. So when we visited the link successfully, then we are able to see the color in yellow. Similarly, I am going to use another color that is something like active. Active means when we are going to click on that, the link will be activated. So in that time we can see these colors. So I would like to use color that is something like green. I'm going to use green color. So this is happened when we are going to click on the specific element. So let me refresh this and let me click on this. Now we are able to see when we are going to click on that, we are able to observe that is in green color. So this is active. When we are going to click on this, we are able to see that color here. Similarly for APSSDC also. When we are going to click on that, we are able to observe that is activated. Alright. And the final one is hover effects. So we can use hover effects by using the mouse over functionalities. I'm going to use the color that is something like has DDD, that is gray color. We already discussed about it. Alright, now it's time to save this and execute in the browser. Now we are able to see when we are going to mouse over on the specific text, we are able to see the color that is gray color, a light gray color. This is how we are going to use pseudo selectors in CSS. Okay, so we need to discuss few kinds of properties of the pseudo selectors also. So I hope you might be understand the importance of each and every pseudo selectors here. So link is nothing but when we are going to unvisit. So we didn't open the link. In that case, we are able to observe that is in red color. We are able to observe the red color text. But when we are visited the specific link, we are able to see that link in yellow color. If you observe this, we applied the styles we visited. That is the reason we are not able to see the color in red. Similarly, when we are going to open that in the incognito, so here we use incognito. Here also the history is not available. So that is the reason we are not able to see the yellow color text. But the functionality is remains same for this. I think it's clear up to now, right? Run on live server, yes. We can see the changes by using live server also. Yes. But we will take much more time for running this. So I will tell you how to use a server. So that is a lightweight server and how we are going to run the application by using the server. Okay. So now the next concept is we have to use another pseudo selectors here. For example, I'm going to use A and we have to use the first element. So we have to use the first child. So I'm going to save this. So we have to use few kinds of properties. So here I'm going to use the color, that is something like blue. I'm going to use blue color here. So let me save this and execute in the browser. So if you observe this, we are able to see the first letter is in blue color because we used the first child as the value for this. So this is the pseudo element, the first child. When we are going to use this first child, we can apply styles to the first children of the specific element. For example, if we are having another element, so let me take another example. I'm going to use a paragraph tag, something like a paragraph tag. In that paragraph tag, I'm going to use a span element. In the span element, I'm going to use a sample text, that is span element. I just used a span element, that's it. Similarly, I'm going to use another span element. This is span element 1 and this is span element 2. So here I would like to use the child combiner combination. We already discussed how we are going to apply styles to the children. So we have to use child combiner for that. So I am going to use P space span. By using space, we can apply styles to the children. But I don't want to apply the styles to all the children, but I need to apply the first children of this. For that, we have to use first child. And we can apply the colors to this. Color, and I'm going to use blue again. This is the first child. We are applying the styles to the first children. But if you observe this, we are using the parent-child relationship along with the pseudo classes or pseudo selectors. So we are selecting this P as the parent, span as the children. In the span element, we are using first child. By using this, we can apply styles to the first children of it. So the styles will apply to this selector, to this element, the first span element, that is span element 1. And save this, execute in the browser. Now we are not able to see that span element 1 and span element 2 are in same color. So let me, yes, we have to save this styles. Let me save this styles and refresh the page once again. Yes, now we are able to see that color here. The span element is in blue color. So we are applying styles by using child combinator as well as pseudo selector combination. Alright, similarly I would like to take another example, that is here we used two span elements. Similarly I am going to use same kind of syntax here. Let me save this and execute in the browser. Now we are able to see the span element 1 is having blue color in the both the statements. Alright, so we applied styles by using the first children, that is first child. And similarly we used span, and this is the child combinator. Now I think you can understand this, how we are going to apply the styles to this by using the pseudo elements. Okay. So this is all about the pseudo selectors. Okay, so now the next concept is box models in CSS. We have to discuss the box model in CSS. That is very, very important. So we discussed pseudo selectors. In the pseudo selectors, we used different kinds of selectors. So the first one is link, and the next one is visited, and the next one is first one is link attribute, and the next one is visited. That's fine. And we used hover effects also, hover, and when we are going to click on that we have to use active. Similarly first child. So these are the different kinds of pseudo selectors available in CSS. Alright, so we used the combination also. So we have various kinds of selectors, not only this first child, and we have various kinds of it, but these are the basic and very important selectors. So we discussed the first child. Similarly we have that is another element, that is last child. We can use the last child also. So by using last child we can select the last element of the specific item. So for example I'm going to use the last child and save this and execute in the browser. This is a document, and we are able to see the color is applicable to the last children elements. So these are the pseudo elements. I think it's clear up to now, right? Is that clear, everyone? Kindly respond in the chat box. Yes, clear. Good. Thank you for responding. So we have to discuss the box models. That is very, very important. Remember everyone, we have to use box models very often. Once explain the last child. Yeah, sure. So by using the first child, we can apply styles to the first element of it. For example, here we have two anchor tags. When we are going to apply the first child will be applicable with few kinds of styles which we are going to give. But when we are going to use the last child, so here this is the first children and this is the last children. By using last child, we can apply styles to the last children. Similarly, when we are going to use another anchor tag, for example, this is the one anchor tag here. So I would like to use another anchor tag here. We have three anchor tags. Here this is the first element and this is the last element. When we are going to apply the styles to a specific first element, we have to use the first type. And similarly, this is for a last. Is that clear now? Yes. So when we are going to explain this kind of concepts, we are getting most of the doubts from students. I will tell you one of the doubt from them. So the first one is, we are able to select the first one and we are able to select the last one. So these are the three elements only. So when we are going to have the 100 number of elements, we can select the first one and the last one by using the selectors, that is first child and last child. But when we are going to style a specific element except the first one and last one, how we are going to do that? That is very, very important. So for that, we have to use another attribute, that is something like, for example, I'm going to use P and I'm going to use nth of type. I'm going to use type, nth of type, and we have to mention the children number here. So for example, I'm going to apply the styles to the second element. Now the color here is something like green again. I just used green color. Nth of type 2. So it's time to execute in the browser. So if you observe this here, we applied styles to the second parent. So second paragraph. So this is the first paragraph and this is the second paragraph. So here we already applied the blue color text here. So that is the reason we are able to see the text in blue color too. Let me save this and execute in the browser. Now if you observe this, we are applying styles to the second paragraph element, because if you observe this, we used second, nth of type 2. When we are going to use span element instead of paragraph, let me save this and execute in the browser. Now we are able to see the second span element get selected. Similarly, if we have multiple elements, so something like, for example, I'm going to use another span element here. That is something like span 3 and span 4. Similarly, span 5 also. This is span 3 and this is span 4 and this is span 5. So we have 5 span elements. I'm going to apply styles to the fourth span element. So in that case, we have to use type of fourth. And now we are able to see this text span element 4 in green color. Save this and execute in the browser. So span element 4 is having green color here. This is how we are going to apply styles to a specific children element. We have to use nth of type, and 4. I think it's clear up to now. Yes, clear. Element which will work. In span, I want to apply 135. Okay, so 135, yes. Who's that? Nagaraju Jangai is asked me. Such a wonderful doubt it is. So 135 is nothing but odd numbers. So we have to apply odd rule here. So thank you for asking this kind of doubts. So Nagaraju asked me, thank you for asking this kind of doubts. This is absolutely wonderful doubt from you. So how we are going to apply specific elements? So we are going to apply a single element. We are going to apply styles to a single element. Now Nagaraj asked me that. So how we are going to apply styles to multiple elements together? He asked me that how we are going to apply styles to 1, 3, 5th element. So that is called as odd rule. So we have to use odd here. Instead of 4, we have to use odd. Let me save this and execute in the browser. Refresh. Now if you observe this is the 1, the odd element, and this is the 5th element. Similarly, if you want to apply styles to even rule, we have to use even instead of odd. I'm going to use even. Save this and execute in the browser. So element 2, element 4 is having green colored text. This is how we are going to apply selectors or styles to multiple elements by using rules, even and odd rules. Similarly, I would like to copy the syntax. I'd like to copy this and paste it again. I'm going to apply odd here, odd rule, and I'm going to give something like pink color. Alright, let me save this and execute in the browser. Alright, now we are able to see all the odd elements are having pink color and the even elements are having green color text. Yes. So I think everyone understood this concept. This concept is very, very important. Alright, now let's take a look into the box model. So I would like to erase all the stuff. So for better understanding, I would like to keep all the stuff here. So, but I would like to commit it all. So commit is not possible because we have, yes, this is already committed. Alright, now let me select all the elements and commit it. Now all the code gets committed. Now it's time to open index.html. I'm going to remove all the stuff from body section. So paragraph tags, we have various kinds of paragraph tags. So anchor tag, and I would like to remove all the stuff here. So we have only body element. So now it's time to apply the box models. So I would like to create division a division. In that division, I'm going to use the H2, that is second largest heading. So this is something like heading 2. Alright, so we have a division. In that we have a second largest heading. Now it's time to work with the box models in CSS. Box model is nothing but we have to create a box like style. So I'm going to use the division. Alright, so this is the element selector. So we are using element name directly here. So first of all, we have to apply the border property. So I will explain the border properties each and every one clearly. So first of all, we need to use this property, that is border. In this border, we have to use, the first one is width of the border. How much width we are going to give for the specific element. So that is 1px here, and I'm going to use a solid type of border. That means we can get a border like solid, the normal border. And the last one is the color of the border. So for example, I would like to use the gray color border. So border 1px, solid, and has DDD. So we just applied the border to the division. Alright, now let me save this and execute in the browser. So Vaishnavi asked me a doubt, that is, suppose we want in another elements are at a time. So what do you mean by that, Vaishnavi? I didn't get you. Sir, we have one WhatsApp group, sir. We have some doubts when code practice at time. So please join and resolve our problem. Yes, sure, Naveen. Definitely I will join by using this link. So Vaishnavi, I didn't get your question actually. Suppose we want in unordered elements. Okay, so if the elements are not in the order, we have to apply styles to it. So that is very similar. That is very simple. So we have to use the selector directly. So this is possible. This pseudo selectors is possible when the elements are having an order. But when we are going to apply styles to the unordered, so we have to select it directly. So because we need to use the relationship, that is the reason it is not possible to apply the styles to unordered elements. If you want to apply styles to the unordered elements, we have to select it directly. Alright, so we applied box model. Let me save this and execute. So we are able to see this is like a box. This is like a box. So we applied only one border. Now we are able to see the box here. Alright, now I'm going to apply the width of it. The width is 20%. I'm going to apply the width as 20% and save this and execute in the browser. Yes, now the width gets manipulated here, so the width gets decreased. So similarly, we have 100% of width in initial stage, but now we applied 20%. That is the reason we are able to see the difference here. So when we are going to apply 30, so let me save this and execute. Yes, now we are able to see the elements here. Alright, so this is how we are going to use box model. For better understanding, for getting attractiveness to the box model, we have to use another properties also. Those are padding and margin. I'm going to use margin property first. Margin, that is true percentage. So when we are going to apply margin, so it follows few kinds of directions. So the first direction is starting with top. So the direction starts with top, right, bottom, and left. So this is the direction it will follows. So here we are applying 2%. So we are able to get the space from the top side, right direction, bottom direction, and left direction. So this is the box, this is the division. When we are going to execute this, we are able to see the difference. We are able to observe, we are able to see different kinds of spaces from all the sides. Let me refresh. Now we are able to see. From the top side, we are having 2% of margin. From the right side, we are having full width because this is starting with left side only. That is the reason we are able to see the full width of the space in the right side. Similarly, in the bottom side also. By using padding, we can get the space outside of this box. When we are going to apply padding, this is very similar to the margin. Margin, that is 2%, and padding is also 2%. When we are going to apply padding, this is applicable inside of this box. What are the elements are having in the division tag, which is having the padding. So we are able to see the gap inside of the division. For example, let me refresh this. Now we are able to see the difference. We are getting space inside of the box. When we are going to apply margin, we are able to get outside of the box. All right. Similarly, here we apply 2%. When we are going to use 1%, 0%, 2%, what will happen? 2% is for top, 1% is for right, 0% is bottom, 2% is for left. Let me save this and execute in the browser. So now we are able to observe the same kind of output because here we used 2% and 2%. This is common for left and top directions. But whereas right and bottom is having by default space. Because when we are going to apply styles, or by default when we are going to create a new element, the flow is starting from the left side. That is the reason we are able to see the space from the right side and the bottom side. So that is the reason we are not able to observe the spaces we are going to apply to the bottom and right are not applicable here. Similarly, if you want to make this as a center alignment, in that case we have to use 0% and auto. What will happen when we are going to apply 0% and auto? So if you observe this here, we have 4 directions, but we applied 2 values. So top direction will take 0% and the right will take auto. Again these 2 completed. Now bottom take 0 and left take auto. So we applied auto to the right and left side. That means we can get the equal space from the right and left directions. Let me save this and execute. Here we have to refresh. Now we are able to see this in the center alignment because we are able to see the gap from the left side as well as the right side. This is the equal space between equal space from the left side as well as to the right side. This is how we are going to make a center alignment for a specific element by using margin properties. So we applied auto property to get this element in the center alignment. And similarly, this padding, when we are going to use padding, that is 2% and auto, let me check this. The directions is very similar for this also. So refresh. Now we are not able to see the space here. This is padding. Padding is not applicable to that element. So here we have inner element. The padding is not applicable to the specific element, but we can apply the padding to the division. So when we are going to get this element in center alignment, we have to use margin property for this heading too. But we need not to use any kind of padding for this division to get this text in center alignment. The padding belongs to this division, not for this heading element. Alright, now I am going to use the H2. div and h2, I'm going to use margin that is 0% and auto. Alright, and save this, execute in the browser. Now if you observe this, these styles are applied, this margin is applied, but here by default we are maintaining this division also. That is the reason when we are going to apply the margin property, we are not able to get the center alignment text, because this is available in the division section. So if we want to get the text in center alignment, we have to use text align property. That is something like text align, and we have to use center. Let me save this and execute in the browser. Now we are able to see the text in center alignment. So this is all about the box model. We can apply the shadow property also. Shadow property is also plays an important role for the box model. Now it's time to apply the shadow also. So I'm going to use box shadow. That is, so we have to provide the shadow. So by default the lightning is starting from the left side. So we are able to observe the shadow from the right side and the bottom section. So we have to apply 3px. 3px is the customized value. You can provide any kind of value instead of 3px, and I am going to use 3px, another 3px. So 3px is for the right section and the 3px is the bottom section. Similarly, I am going to use 3px for blur ratio. I am going to use a color that is #000. I just used #000. So this is the shadow color. So we applied #000. So you change it to something like RGB color code. Let me use #000. That is something like black color. Let me save this and execute in the browser. Now we are able to see the shadow. So if we observe this, the first 3px is nothing but the right side shadow, and the next 3px is nothing but the bottom side shadow, and the final 3px, that is blur ratio. So the black color is melted with the background color, that is white color, with the ratio of 3px. When we are going to use 30px, the blur ratio will be increased. Let me save this. Now we are able to see the blur ratio increased. So we have to provide the specific blur ratio. Alright, let me save this. Now we are able to see the proper shadow. Alright, now I would like to use 0px here. When we are going to use 0px, we are not able to see the shadow in the bottom section. We are not having any kind of shadow here in the bottom section. Similarly, when we are going to apply the 0px to the left side or the right side, save this. Now we are not able to see the shadow in the right section also. So this is all about shadow. So now I would like to apply the classical box shadow. So for example, here I am going to use 0px for the right side and 8px for the bottom section, and we have to use the blur ratio. So the blur ratio is also 8px. And if you want to apply the cubic ratio, that is 8px. Cubic ratio means we have to apply styles to the background property of it. So here we have a box. Cubic ratio means we can observe behind shadow. So when we are going to use -8px, that may exist. Something like, for example, I'm going to use #000 as the color code here. Let me save this and execute in the browser. Now we are able to see the shadow in the bottom section only, because we applied 0px to the right, 8px to the bottom section, and 8px is the blur ratio, and -8px is the cubic ratio. So when we are going to decrease this, for example, I'm going to use 1px. it will become near to the box like this. So when we are going to decrease that, the cubic ratio will go back from the box. So for example, I'm going to use -1. Let me save this. Let me adjust. Similarly, when we are going to use -2, that is go back. Similarly, -3, that is going backward, that is moving backward. And -4, again it going back, the cubic ratio going back, right? Similarly, when we are going to use 10px, it's very far for the box. We are able to see the box shadow here. I hope you might be understand, everyone.
Excuse me, sir. Hanuman sir, are you there? Your voice is not audible to us, sir. Could you please unmute yourself?
Am I audible now? Just respond.
Yes, sir. It's audible.
Yes, yes. We have some kind of internet issue. That is the reason I disconnected automatically. So yes. So just now we discussed the pseudo elements. Pseudo elements, as well as we discussed the box model also. So we used different kinds of properties in it. So those are border, width, margin, padding, and text align, and the box shadow. So right now it's time to discuss various kinds of borders available in CSS. That is very important. So everyone need to focus on this. Yes, I would like to share this. Yes, I already shared the screen. Okay. Now is my screen visible now to you? Is my screen visible to you all? Yes, it's visible. So thank you for responding. Let me open the coding part first. So in the coding part, so I would like to use different kinds of borders. We are able to see one kind of border. So first of all, for better understanding, I would like to change this color to red. So we used a default color. So that is hash DDD, but I would like to change this to the red color. So even we can understand the red color very quickly. So let me open the document again. And now we are able to see the red color border. So we are able to see the red color border here. Now it's time to apply different kinds of border to it. The first one is, we already seen the solid. Solid means we can get the straight line like this. And I'm going to use something like dotted. So we can get dotted lines of border. That is dotted. And save this and execute in the browser. Now this is the dotted border. So we are able to see dots in the border. Similarly, we have dashed. So we can apply styles by using dashes. That is dashed. So 1px 1px dashed, and I would like to use a red color for the border property. So when we are going to apply this, we are able to see the dashes in the border. So we saw three kinds of borders. The first one is solid, the next one is dotted, and the final one is dashed. Alright, now if you want to define a double border, so we have to use double instead of dashed. That is double, and save this, execute the browser again. Now, so you can understand we are able to see the double border, but thickness of the border. So here we used double, but here we can understand the thickness when we are going to zoom in. Now we are able to observe this is the double border. So this is the double border. So similarly, you can apply the 3D border also. For that we have to use groove. Remember everyone, for double border we have to use double. When we are going to apply the 3D borders, we have to use groove. Alright, let me save this and execute in the browser. Now we can see the 3D border. So we have two kinds of color codes here. The red color is the normal color code, but we are able to see another dark color of this red, something like that's a gray color. We are able to observe here. And similarly, we have two kinds of borders again, inset and outset. So let me open inset and let me apply inset and outset here. So inset, first of all, I would like to apply inset. So just refresh. Now, if you observe this here, the output, so we are able to see the dark color for the top and left, and the red color for right and bottom. This is one kind of 3D effect. So when we are going to use outset, for example, I am going to use outset. This is completely opposite. So previously we are able to see the top and the left side of the sections are having the dark red color, but in the right side and bottom side we are able to see the red color. But we applied outset here. When we are going to apply outset, this is completely opposite. We are able to see the dark border for the right and bottom, and the normal red color for the top and right, top and left. Not right, this is the left. So top and left we are able to see the normal red color. Let me refresh this. Now you can understand. So this is inset and outset. So this is one of the 3D effect for the borders. So if you want to disable the border, we can use none option. So you can use none instead of outset and inset, all the stuff. You can use none. Let me save this and execute. So there is no border now. So if the border is available, but if you want to hide that, we have to use hidden. HIDDEN, hidden. Alright, let me save this and execute. It's cool, we are not able to see any kind of border. There is no border here because so we applied hidden property. So even this is having border, but we are not able to see that because we hide that border. So there is a small difference between hidden and none. When we are going to apply none, the section is not having any kind of body, any kind of border. So when we are going to apply hidden, the section is having border, but the border is hidden. That is the small difference between none and hidden. So these are different kinds of properties for the border. So now, sir, if we don't want border, then why we are mentioning border 30px? If you don't want border. So in some cases, for example, so we need to hide border for the few elements dynamically. We can do statically. If you observe that, we can do that statically. So we can remove the border property statically. But when we are going to get the information dynamically from the database and we have to apply the styles to the specific element, in that case we have to apply the properties dynamically In the situation, we have to use hidden properties and none property, because few elements are having the border, proper border, and few elements are not having the border. So we need to fulfill the requirements like this. In that situation, we have to use like this. We have to use none property and hidden property. Something for margin also. Yes. So this is for a requirement, that is when we are going to use a specific margin, that's fine. If you don't want to use margin, you can remove that margin also. So we have various kinds of properties available in the margin, and we have to use the directions properly. If you don't kind of margin, you can remove directly. Okay. Now we discussed different kinds of borders, and the next concept is, this is very, very important. So you have to understand. So we have to get most of the questions from this kind of situation, from this kinds of concepts. This concept is CSS positions. So this is very, very important. Remember everyone, the properties of CSS are very, very important. Before going to that, I would like to know how many borders we discussed. Just note down in the chat box. Just give your answer in the chat box. How many borders we discussed? Various kinds of borders. Just type a message and reply in this chat box. 4. We discussed 4 kinds of borders. 6. Divya responded, that is 4. Okay. Anyone just type how many kinds of borders we discussed. Various kinds of borders we discussed. Just type various kinds of borders we discussed. Okay. 70. So solid, dotted, dashed, double, yes. Yes. So let me prepare the document again. Borders, as we discussed. The first one is solid. Alright. Next one is dotted. And we discussed dashed. Alright. We discussed double. And groove for getting the 3D border. And we discussed inset, outset, none, and hidden. Alright, so we discussed these kind of borders: solid, dotted, dashed, double, groove, and inset, outset, none, and hidden. So we have one more border style, that is ridge. This is also for applying 3D borders, but so most of the browsers are not supported. That is the reason I skipped that one. So ridge property is not having browser compatibility. That is the reason I skipped it. Alright. Now the next one, that is the very, very important, that is positions. Positions, this is very, very important. So we have 5 kinds of positions. The 6th one is optional. Remember everyone, the 6th position is optional. We have only 5 positions. I will explain each one of them. The first one is static. Next one is relative. And the next one is fixed. And the next one is absolute. And the final one is sticky. So these are the different kinds of positions in CSS. So we have another property, that is inherit. So this is optional. I am telling this is optional because we need to get this property from the parent attribute, any kind of other properties. So this is optional. This is not mandatory for discussing, but we have to discuss these 5 properties: static, relative, fixed, absolute, and sticky. These positions are very, very important. Everyone try to understand this. This is very, very important. We have to focus on this kind of concept very well. So static, relative, fixed, absolute, and sticky. So let me explain each one of them, starting with static. So by using static, for example, we didn't apply any kind of styles to the specific element. I would like to create another division instead of it. That is div. Alright. Now I'm going to close this division. So we have a division here and we have another division. So this is the parent attribute. Class equals to, I would like to mention this as a parent, and this is something like child. I'm going to use child, that's it. So this is the class, so we have to apply the class attribute. So div class equals to parent and div class equals to child. It's fine. And in this I'm going to use few kinds of elements. This is sample text. So this is a sample text. Alright, this is a sample text. Let me save this and execute in the browser. So yes, we are able to see the sample text here. We're able to see that sample text here, and I'm going to remove all the elements, all the style properties of it. So now it's time to apply the styles by using the selectors like parent class and the child class. So we used two selectors, those are parent and child. Alright, now we have to apply properties, CSS properties for these two selectors. First one is parent and next one is children. So commonly I'm going to use the border property. Border, that is 1px solid and has DDD. Okay. Similarly for child also I'm going to use the border property, border 1px solid and has DDD. Alright. Very similar. So it's clear up to now. So I'm going to apply the width property also here. That is width, that is something like 30%. Alright, so it's better to apply the margin property and padding also, because this is the box model, right? So we have to apply margin and padding. So for margin I'm going to use 1%, and for padding also I'm going to use 1%. It's better to avoiding the padding for few kinds of situations. So let me save this. Yes, now we are able to see this is a sample text here. So I'm going to apply the margin property for this also. Alright. So we applied same kind of properties except this width to the parent and child. And let me save this and execute. Alright. So this is the parent, and in that we have a children. That's very clear. So we didn't apply any kind of positions here. But when we are not mentioning any kind of position, by default each and every element is having a static position default. So this static position is the default position. This is the default position. When we are going to use paragraph tag, the static position will be automatically applied to that. When we are going to use the static position, so here we didn't mention any kind of positions. So by default these two elements are having static position. When we are going to apply the directions, we have four kinds of directions: top, left, right and bottom. When we are going to apply top direction, that is 10px, that means we would like to get the space from the top side, that is 10px of space, and save this. It's better to execute in the browser. Let me save this. Now we are not able to see any kind of space. Let me apply 100px and save this and execute. Even also we are not able to see this. We are not able to apply the positions, the directions to the element. So this is happening when we are going to use a static position. So by default each and every element is having the position that is static. So let me use position static here for better understand. So as we mentioned earlier, each and every element is having static position by default. Let me refresh. Now we are able to see same kind of output here. The result is remains same. We can understand from this output when we are going to apply this position, that is very similar the children without having the position. Alright, so if you want to apply the directions to the element, so we have to use relative. So I'm going to use relative and save this and execute in the browser. Yes, now we are able to see this. Now we are able to observe, we are able to get the 100 px of space from the bottom, from the top section. So let me apply the hide property for this, because the children is outside of the parent. So I'm going to apply 500 px and save this and execute. Yes, now this is in the parent only. So here we can understand, so we are able to see the space from the top of this parent. So it's better to mention this is something like 300. It is very small. It's clear. 200 px, the height is 200 px, and that's fine. Okay, so now we are able to see the 100 px of space from the top side, top direction. So you can understand from this, so by using position relative we can apply the directions to the element, but when we are going to use static we can't do that. So similarly the next position is fixed. I'm going to use fixed position. That is something like fixed. So when we are going to apply the fixed position, the element position fixed to the document, so we are not able to move this position. So we are not able to manipulate the location of the specific element. The element position is fixed. Let me save this and execute. So this is fixed. We're not able to manipulate this. So for example, I would like to remove this 100 px and save this, execute. Now we can understand this position is fixed. This position is fixed. For example, let me open the coding part here. Okay, we used width and okay, height is also common. So for the position we applied the fixed. Fixed means this is fixed. This is stick to the specific element. This is the syntax for this. We can fix the position. All right. So yes, sir. What is difference between static and fixed? Yes, absolutely right. Yes, definitely. I will explain it again. So yes. So we applied fixed. Okay, and yes, 30% of width and padding also very. All the positions are similar. Okay, and it's time to execute it once. So let me remove this, close this, and I would like to refresh. So we have to know the differences between the fixed and static. All right. So where is it? So this is all about. So we used some kind of 200 px. That's fine. So Let me apply the padding also. For better understanding, I would like to use the padding also. Padding, that is 1%. All right. Padding is also 1%, and we applied the border. And similarly, here also I'm going to use the padding property. Padding, that is 1%. So I'm going to use top direction, top, that is 10px. Oh, okay, margin also, it's fine. Okay, let me save this and execute it once. Okay, now we are able to see the padding, all this stuff. Now we have to know the differences between the fixed and the static. So I would like to use margin property for this, that is margin, that is 5%. 5%, and save this, refresh, and I'm going to apply 15%. 15%, and let me save this. Now we are able to see these two are separated. These two are separated. Similarly, I'm going to use static here. I'm going to use static. Let me save this and execute in the browser. If you observe this, when we are going to apply static position, we are able to see that information in the parent element only. So from this output, we can understand the differences between the static and the fixed. So when we are going to apply the static position, so this is in the body part only, in the parent section only. When we are going to use fixed, the fixed and the parent, so this child and the parent properties are completely different. So there is no relationship between them by using the fixed property. So this is the difference. So I'm going to use fixed property, fixed value. So now these two are separated because this is the fixed value. This is automatically fixed when we are not able to use any kind of directions on it. So this is the difference. Fixed position. Sir, what is the difference between? Yes. Kumar, I hope you might be understand. Alright, so we covered 3 directions. So those are static, relative, fixed. And the very important is absolute. Most of the people getting doubts in this position. This is very important. This is the combination of relative and static positions. So most of the people getting doubts from this. I will explain again. So the time is already 6:34. I will take few more minutes. I would like to take 3 more minutes for explaining this. So once if we completed this, so we can understand all the concepts are covered for today without any kind of pending. So I'm going to use absolute. So for example, when we are going to use absolute, I'm using absolute. So first of all, I have to know what is the root element here. So the root element is body. So based on the root element, it will be displayed. Let me save this and execute in the browser. Now if you observe this, we are not able to see the element, but this is available in the top section of this, because when we are going to use this element, this body is the root element for all the elements. So based on this parent element, it will be modified. But if you want to remove that, if you want to make this parent as the root for this children, we have to use relative property here. Let me use position, and that is relative. Alright, and save this and execute in the browser. Now if you observe this, we are able to understand we kept all the children information in the parent. When we are going to use absolute relation, absolute position, that is, we have to indicate the relationship between the parent and children. By default, when we are going to apply the absolute, the body as the root to each and every element. If you want to change that, we have to use relative position. So that is the reason we used relative for this parent. Absolute is nothing but we can apply styles based on the root property, that is body. Each and every element is manipulated by applying few kinds of styles based on the root element, that is body. But when we are going to use a customized element as a root, so we have to specify the position relative for that. This is all about the absolute. And the final one is, this is very important. The sticky is very important. Remember, so this is very important nowadays. So if you are noting down all these concepts, you have to make a star mark for the sticky. So I would like to explain the sticky. I'm going to use the sticky for this. Sticky position. I'm going to remove this position relative. And here, for better understanding, I'm going to use the paragraph elements. So the paragraphs are the brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. I'm going to repeat this paragraph. This is the paragraph. So I just used a sample text here. So let me save this and execute in the browser once. Now, where is the paragraph? This is the paragraph. All right. Now I'm going to use same kind of paragraph in the bottom section also. In the bottom section also, I'm going to use same paragraph. So now refresh. Now we're able to see the element. So the sticky means it will be stick to the top direction. When we are going to move, the position of the children is sticky. So when we are going to move, the position of the element is not changing, that is stick to the top direction. So when we are going to move this parent completely, then it will be moved like this. Otherwise, when we are going to move within the parent, that is no movement for this children. This is how we are going to use the sticky. For example, I would like to use the sticky in the outside of this element. So I would like to cut this and paste it in the body section. Now you can understand the division is the children for this body. So now save this and execute in the browser. So now this is the sticky. So you can move. So the sticky is similar. The position of the sticky is very similar. So that is as fixed to the top direction. Alright. So this is all about the positions in CSS. So I hope you might be understand the positions concept. Clash using input type equals date. So solve your problem. What is it? Can't you repeat absolute? Can you repeat absolute? So okay, absolute means we can apply styles based on the parent. So when we are going to apply styles by using absolute position, they consider the body as the root element. Each and every element is having the same element as the root, that is body. If you want to change that, we have to use relative for a specific element. Sir, can we use the same sticky direction to the left or right? Can we use the same sticky direction to? Yes, we can use that. That is completely yes, we can apply. Sir, I am unable to give padding to my skills. Could you please help me? So okay, for this you are not able to give the skill padding. Okay, I will explain that. So but the time is 6:40 now, so we have to wind up the session for today and check this and solve my problem, sir. Yes, I will check it out and I will get back to you very soon. I will send you a pull request if the problem solved. Okay, thank you each one of you.
Dear all, I hope each and everyone enjoying the session. And I'm already sharing the feedback link through chat and try to check it once. Chetan. And Hanuman sir, would you please share the code link, or else try to share the GitHub link. Each and everyone need to access your code.
So I will do one thing. I will create a repository and I will push all the code into the repository and I will share that later. So
Yeah, it's a better thing, sir.
it
Thank you.
will take a few moments. So that is the reason it's not possible for today. I will host it in a repository and I will share that tomorrow.